Exploring the rainforest after nightfall can be a rewarding, yet dangerous experience. The deep layers of darkness can easily conceal geological or biological hazards, but also bring about opportunities to film some truly incredible wildlife. In this episode of The Wild Report, we'll head deep into the jungle and learn about a few of its nocturnal reptiles and amphibians.
You guys, check this out. Look at that. Look at the size of this toad. That is a cane toad. Now, you guys have definitely heard of these at some point because they're one of the most famous invasive species on the planet. You guys have probably heard of how they took over Australia. Also, they're invasive to parts of southern Florida, and they're actually increasing their range northwards in the U.S. However, here, they are a native species. Now, as you can see, these are hefty amphibians. These are easily heavier, at least, than the bullfrogs that I find back at home, which are the biggest amphibians there. And because they're toads and not frogs, they can survive out of the water for a lot longer. Now, their skin does need to be moist in order for them to properly respirate, and that also helps them fight infectious disease. But as you can see, we're not near water right now. We're just kind of in the rainforest, actually right near the camp. Now, these, you can find them, I guess, pretty much all the time out here. This is only the first one I've seen, but that's just because this is the first day I'm here. So these are predators of really any invertebrates, or maybe even small vertebrates out on this that they can find on the ground here. And as you can see, right by my thumb, they're venom sacs. Well, not venom, they're poison sacs. And that's absolutely massive. Those are each glands, which, if I irritated him enough, he would secrete toxins out of, and that really does make these extremely difficult to be preyed upon. Almost nothing eats these guys because those toxins are so potent, especially at this size. That thing definitely has some pretty potent toxins in there. But that is such a cool animal. First herp of the trip, and that's a pretty cool herp to see these things in their natural habitat. Now, if I found these anywhere where they weren't native, obviously, you should kill them. And most of the places you find them probably they're going to be non-native, but here they're a native species, so he gets released back into the wild. Alright guys, check it out. This is definitely okay, maybe not the coolest because the spiny-tailed iguana was really cool. Close second to coolest lizard I've seen on this trip. That is the pug-nosed anole. Now this obviously is a very, very large anole. This is probably about 3 times, maybe more than that, the mass of any other anole I have ever held. And you can see why it gets its name. Look at that head shape. It's very stocky. And when we first saw this individual, we said that looks like a giant gecko. Now, there are no geckos here in Costa Rica native that get to this size. We don't, or that look the same as this. The best way to identify this species of anole is obviously by the size and the head shape. We see here, it has a fairly distinctive stripe down its back. So that tells us that this is probably a female, although like every reptile, color varies quite a bit with different individuals of this species, so that's never the best way to identify them. Now, as far as ecological niche goes, these are definitely mid-tier carnivores, so these are going to be probably 90% insectivorous, I would say. They're going to be eating mostly invertebrates of different kinds, but also, as large anoles, they will not hesitate to eat smaller lizards, including members of their own species on occasion. But that's a really, really neat find. Tonight, I was definitely not expecting to see this. Didn't even know this species existed until we found it, but that's so cool. And we will get it right back on this leaf, actually this leaf, so it can run. Now, even though it's nighttime and it's cold, I bet it will still dart if we give it a little pet or not. It is very chill right now. This is very uncommon for lizards to be this relaxed. They're just so cold. So we'll leave it right there.
While I was perfectly happy with those 2 finds alone, there was still one more surprise in store for us as we concluded our survey and began heading back to camp.
Recording. Alright guys, look at this incredible species. Now this is the blunt-headed tree snake, one of the most specialized snakes in the world, I would say. You can see that this body design is perfectly suited for life in the trees. He weighs almost nothing, and you know, when people call snakes noodles, you know, affectionately, this guy is literally almost the size of a noodle, and he feels like about the same weight. Now, you can tell that when he's moving through my hands, you can see he can suspend up to about half of his body length, completely independent of what he's clinging onto over here, and that is made possible through a very specialized I-beam kind of body construction. So just like steel beams in construction, you have the longer part down there, and it gets smaller at the top. That's exactly how these guys are built, and that just lets them extend out like this when they're searching for prey. Now, blunt-headed tree snakes can get much bigger than this. They can actually get up to around 4 feet long, although they will not get very thick. So length, I would say he is actually probably around 1.5 to 2 feet, but they can get about twice as big as he is. Now, as far as hunting strategies and prey goes, these are a nocturnal snake. You occasionally see them during the day, but that's very rare. I'll show you a close-up shot now of his eyeballs, which are extraordinarily large. Very, very large eyeballs, which he uses to absorb as much light as possible when he's hunting out in the jungle at night. Now, he will be hunting primarily lizards, so these guys are pretty much lizard and frog specialists. What they'll do is look for sleeping anoles on leaves or small tree frogs, perhaps, and they can just sneak right up to them, making absolutely no noise and without vibrating the stick or leaf at all, just spreading their body weight out over this very, very long body. Such a gorgeous little snake. Now, obviously, especially at this size, they do have lots of predators. Some of that is alleviated by hunting at night. You don't get all of the diurnal predators then, but these are an absolute treat to see in the wild. This was definitely on my hit list coming here. It's one of those species you really do only find out in these jungles, and there's just nothing quite like it anywhere else. Absolutely gorgeous. Now check it out. Look, when this thing moves across the twigs, I mean, he just sails across them, and you see this long body just spreads out his surface tension completely. So when he moves, he's not shaking any of these leaves or the stem, and he could, look, he goes right back to the tree where he came from. And he can hunt so silently and so stealthily like that. It is so cool to see just how he suspends himself. Wow. That's so cool. What an awesome animal.
Well, everyone, that's just about it for this video. I really hope that you enjoyed and learned something new about the nocturnal herps of Costa Rica. If you did enjoy, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like on this video and consider subscribing to my channel for more educational wildlife content coming every other Saturday morning. Thanks so much for watching, and keep adventuring everywhere. This has been Zeno of The Wild Report, signing out.